Hi students and welcome to week 8. This week I'm introducing Project 4 and releasing the first of 3 segments on website design and making it live. Adobe XD is wonderful for laying out prototypes and your ideas, but it's not going to make it a live site. So I'm going to introduce you to how to make it live on your own and some tips and tricks along the way to get your ideas up and running in no time. I also will review some technical stuff when it comes to SEO. Your future clients might be looking to you to optimize their site as well as build it. For Project 4, you'll be building a website. The objective of this is to learn how to set up a website with Adobe XD. Your specs will be 1920 wide and the length can be as flexible as whatever you need to in order to get the information submitted. The length does not matter. Items to be submitted, I want you to submit the Adobe XD file along with the shared link. You should know how to do this since you've been through chapter 11 in your book. If you need assistance on this or something isn't working out right, please let me know. The programs you can use, all of the Adobe suite, whichever you think you need to use at which point. Obviously, Illustrator and Photoshop are there to support your Adobe XD layouts, but I want everything built and submitted in XD. Your topic. Just like with every single project we've had this semester, you can be creative and do whatever you want, or you can pretend and set up your own freelance design shop or portfolio and set up a website to promote your business. For extra credit, so the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be going over a series of how to take your XD files and make them live, since that share link is cool, but it's not an actual live website that you would need with SEO and all the other kind of client information that you're going to need. So for extra credit, if you've totally bombed one of your projects previous to this and you need an extra 50 points to bring up any other grade, you can go and use any of the techniques I show you and submit a Google site or a Squarespace site or anything that you've decided to put it in, or Wix or Weebly, whatever you're comfortable in. If you would like to, you can do that if you want, but it's not necessary to complete this. And Project 4 is due on August 3rd by midnight. 4th. I have an example on D2L for you to look at of one of my sites that I've done a while ago, and hopefully that will help you in building yours and seeing what you need to have for content. The web world has changed tremendously over the time that I've been a graphic designer, and I've been lucky enough to work for a company that had a web designer and coder. So software like Adobe XD was perfect for us to go back and forth with. I'd lay out the designs and the web designer would take them and make them live. However, in many small businesses and in-house teams, they have designers that have to do it all. A lot of designers in the web world will use the help of a content management system, CMS for short, like WordPress, or a drag and drop website builder like Squarespace, Wix, or Google Sites, or Weebly, and there's a million of them. Matter of fact, I just discovered a brand new one called Webflow, and that is also really cool to look into and possibly use that with Adobe XD since it seems like it works great together. While I love Adobe XD and all that can be done and accomplished with it, it's not an all-inclusive solution to your web design needs. So when you're going about in the real world and with a real client designing a website, you're probably going to go about things a little bit differently than we are here in this class. So I want to make sure that that it's important that I emphasize that XD is a wonderful solution to comp out ideas, but it's not going to take your site live. So what do you do? Well, there are several plugins that you can get. I like the standard web export. You can actually export out your entire site as an HTML file. You can bring it into something like Dreamweaver and finish out the code if you know how to do that and upload it to the server if you have an FTP server. So you can do some of those types of things in Dreamweaver. I find that Adobe XD is easier to lay out stuff in, so if you can then take that into Dreamweaver, put in your links, and upload to the server, that's one way of handling it. So you can go onto the Adobe plugin page on Creative Cloud and search for web export, and you can do that. You'll see it works right away when you open it up on your computer, and all you have to do is change that home page to index, and then any other pages that are linking back to index, you'll have to reset that link, but for the most part it'll work, and then you can add your forms in Dreamweaver. But even though you can use Dreamweaver in that instance, it's not an ideal situation. I don't think many designers, when they open up Dreamweaver, have an easy time with it. So I actually recommend, and this is probably my biggest tip, is to use something like Squarespace. So in the next slide, I'm going to go over what Squarespace is and how it looks and a few of the functionalities of it. This presentation, I'll go in a little bit more depth in it and show you step by step in a couple weeks from now, but this is just to get you started. So here I'm at my Squarespace dashboard. So I wanted to go over, once you have a Squarespace account, you're going to have a dashboard that looks something similar to this. I'm a really strong fan of Squarespace because of all of the components that you can really build into it. This isn't just something to build in, but it's something to actually build a foundation of the website and be easy to make a blog, send out email blasts, and has advanced SEO, which is going to really advance any of your clients' work. So I really think that it's such a strong piece of software. I'm going to open up my personal website for my wedding business, and I'm just going to show you a little bit about the back end because it's just very easy to use. And while most of us want to do these great big creative things, we do have some limitations. We can add our own creativity in certain elements and interject that into the structure that we're provided through Squarespace. And there's definitely different structures or templates that you can purchase or are free with this. And it's just that the overall use of this and what you can do with it is really going to meet your client's needs, especially if you are a one-man shop. So if you're trying to design, provide a marketing tool, and make sure you have advanced SEO options, this is going to be the best platform. I have researched, matter of fact, this past week, I took extra time on this. I have researched just to make sure that I was really right about this. Squarespace was probably the best one. And out of all of them, I checked out Webflow, I checked out Wix and Weebly, and some of the other ones. I think this one is the easiest to pick up. It has a ton of things that work within it. And there are people out there that specialize in designing on Squarespace. So this could be some sort of avenue for you in the future if web design is the type of design that you're really interested in. So let me just go through. You have that panel on the side, and you see here's the home, book now, and my blog page. So it's got the symbol of the A. So on my home page, I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to scroll down, and I have just a little introduction. I have some of my packages, a book now button, some additional information, and then right here you see all of my previous work. And this is so cool because this is basically taking all of my blog posts and putting them in little squares or rectangles and organizing them. So every time I go and I add a new blog, which I'm going to go through right here, piece, it's going to automatically insert that into my homepage. And it's really, really cool. So let me just show you a little bit about that. So here is where I would make a new blog post. Let's say I want to do something there. I'll put an image and say, I'm going to put a picture of a bride and groom here. And you just do these little buttons right here. You can add whatever, an image, you want to add a gallery, a form. There's a lot of stuff that you can look up online on how to use Squarespace. But out of all of them, this by far is the easiest one, I think, to pick up. But you would just, put in the things that you want to put in. That's, if you wanted to put a location to something, if you wanted to add an image, if you want to add a video, all of that stuff you can do straight from here. Then it's got options, and this is where you're going to want to put any additional images, whether you're going to want to write a little bit, something extra about it. Here's the SEO functions, which is built right into this blog post. So everything that you include in here, the 100 characters here and the 400 characters here, are really going to be integrated into the Google search. So when Google goes out and does its web crawl, it's going to help your client and that website be bumped up as more valid if you have your SEO done just right here. And then you can even, in one fell swoop, you can post to all your social at the same time as you're doing this blog post. You can share it with and make emails like we just did an email blast. This has an integrated system to email out of. So there's a lot of benefits and very powerful tools within Squarespace. And I would really tell you that this is probably one of the best, easiest ways to integrate your creativity and get your clients up and running. So how would you start on something like this? Because I was thinking about what's the best way to tell you, if this is the way that you're going to go, do you even bother with Adobe XD to begin with? And you might not. The truth is, you probably will want to start in Squarespace. You're going to find the structure that you want first, and then you're going to want to put in your own, okay, what colors and maybe the colors and the fonts and some of those smaller typography elements, you can figure out doing some of those things in Adobe XD and kind of flesh out ideas. But I think a lot of the stuff is you'll want to come in and, right here, this is a PNG. So if you want to bring in your logo and export it out from XD or Illustrator or any of them, you can export out your PNG or SVG and upload it. And then each piece of any element that you have here, you can customize it by knowing the sizes. So a lot of the stuff, like for instance, this piece right here, it's 1080, it's 1920 by 1080. So I know that that's the size I need to make my little graphic in order to fit in that space and display the way I want it to. So it becomes more of a tool to help you build rather than you straight building everything in Adobe XD. Now, things are changing at a lightning pace. So you're going to have to make sure that as you go forward, you keep in tune with what's going on with Adobe, because I can see in the future where XD and Dreamweaver or something like that, or Squarespace or any of them, that are going to come closer together. This is just where we're at right now and today, and I want to make sure that by the time you end on this class, that you know what you can do in order to make your sites live for a client in the future. So let's just take a quick look at this, and I'm going to go over here and create a website so that you can see what this looks like from the beginning. So it's going to ask you some questions about what it is that you're trying to design for. And for this, I'm going to go with design and hit next. And then what are my top goals? So I want to look at these and say, market myself for my business. Where are you in the process? Collecting inspiration, formalizing ideas. You can answer this however you want to answer this. It's just going to help narrow down some of your ideas in which template or structure might be the best for you. And like I said, I know templates have a bad connotation with designers because we want to customize anything. We don't want to be told or restricted on what is going to go where. But in this world of the web here, you really need to go with something that is going to be sized across all mediums, that all the bugs have and the kinks have been worked out of, so that you really can focus on what elements you're going to put in there and how you're going to make it and create it your own. And you can. Not every single website is going to look the same. You might have the same structure, but you're going to make everything look the way that it's supposed to for your client or yourself. So I just want to make sure that I go over that and that you don't feel like using something like this is going to take the creativity out of it, because it doesn't. It's just a different type of creativity. So here it's giving me some options for different sites, and I like this one. So I'm going to say, let's start with that. And up here, it's going to show you what the preview looks like on desktop, tablet, or phone, which is wonderful because you don't have to worry about coding any of this. You can integrate your nice big image and any logos or whatever you want to completely customize it to your client or your needs, and you don't have to write a thing of code. And that's what I like about this the best. So now that I've decided, okay, I think I'm going to go with this, I'm going to go start with this design. And then as it's loading, I think we will have this panel over here just like we did with the other site. What do I want to call it? I guess we'll just name it, well, I know, ARV227. That's what we're going to call this. And I'm going to go with edit pages. Create pages. It's telling you a little bit about how to style your site. So if you don't know how to do some of this stuff, then I would definitely recommend that you go through and look at this. They have a bunch of videos that will walk you through. And I'm telling you, out of all of the websites I've looked at, Squarespace is really the easiest. I'm just going to X out of this. And it's got the same structure. So you've got the pages, the design, any kind of commerce you want to set in there, marketing with email. Pages is probably where you're going to set up most of your stuff in the beginning. So, and design. So right here, now this is where you could possibly go into XD and work out what kind of styles you want and what kind of colors you're thinking about, because that is going to really come into play with this. And each one of these Squarespace structures work slightly different, because mine I think always has everything on the left, where this right here is putting some stuff up on the right. So some of them might work a little different, but here's where you can start editing the color palette that you want to use. So maybe some of this stuff it might be easier to come up with the colors and the photos and certain things that you envision, and then bring it in here. So, and that's how I have done most of my stuff. And this right here is always pretty much going to be, if you stick with 1920 as your width, it really doesn't matter what your depth is, it'll fit. Same thing with your fonts. You can do your fonts here. This is where you can integrate, and you don't have to worry about something not working or a font displaying wrong, because it's all hosted within Squarespace. Sometimes you have to use a different font than you might want to. And other times what you can do is you can create your header fonts and things that you're going to use, accent fonts, and save those as PNGs or SVGs and integrate them into it. So it's not a live font, it's an image that's displaying in your site. So if you can really customize, and you don't have to feel like you're restricted. You're basically integrating your creativity into this template structure. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what this can do for you. You can even come up with animations and how you want things to work within your site. It's really, really customizable, and it's really user-friendly. I've tried every single thing this week. The reason why it's taken me so long to get this presentation done is because I really wanted to make sure that I went over this with you, and that you got the best from me, that I did all my research on this, because I'm not 100% in the web world as far as doing this full time, and that's all I do. I touch upon it a little bit here and there, and I've built, I don't know, 6 or 7 sites. Oh, probably more than that, but 6 or 7 on Squarespace itself. And I've also done the ones where you actually bring them into Dreamweaver and you upload them as FTP sites. And you can still certainly do that. And if you want to know more about that, I can certainly help you with those things. But there's really nothing that I have found that is any better than this. So, and you can see, here's my Belzati Creative page. Here's the Myrtle Beach area CVB Partner Connect page. And while it might look somewhat similar, I don't think they look similar at all. I'm just borrowing the structures and integrating my own creativity within them. Same here. So these are all the sites that I have built on this. So, and I've been building these in Squarespace exclusively for several years now, and I really, really like it. It also integrates with domains really well. You can turn on what you need to with GoDaddy. If you say you've purchased your domain from GoDaddy and you want to connect it, it's very, very easy and seamless. You can also purchase your domains straight within Squarespace. So it's a really great solution for a small business. If they come to you and they want a website, you can really get them up and running really fast. They've got great forms, all kinds of features. You can buy the domain names right there. There's so much function you can do. You can actually create commerce stores and so many different functions that I haven't found anything better than this. If anybody else out there uses something else, you please let me know and I'll share that with the group. But this is my recommendation going forward. I did want to pull up one more quick thing out of XD for this presentation, just so you can see. So I went and I decided to mock up a few different ideas, things that I was thinking about if I wanted to do something different with my website, which, I had this crazy idea of having this box in the corner, and I'm sure that you can do that in one of the templates. But for the most part, they're really horizontal and they're really made to be that way. So I decided I would go and do more of a horizontal version for the homepage. The other things I'm thinking could just fall underneath it. And you can create the background colors as cream, so you don't have to worry about bringing in anything that's like an additional piece of art. But what you can do is if you've decided that this is what you want, you select them, and you can do this really in Illustrator, Photoshop, XD, InDesign, whatever it is you're comfortable in. And you just go up to File and you go to Export, select all artboards, and then it's going to ask you what you want it to be. I'm going to go with the PNG because I like those the best, and then I hit export all artboards. Now, hopefully, if I've done this right, it's going to export just the pieces that I have selected. And just to double check, I'm going to go back here into my layers and see what I have selected. So I've got this right here, this, and this. So the way that I have set this up to export, it's actually not going to export correctly. So in order to fix that, you would come here and you would group them. So I'm going to put them in a group. And then once this is all in a group, we're going to select it again and see how it says group 37. We're going to hit this little button right here that says mark for export, so that when I select this and I go to export the whole piece, I'm going to hit selected. It's only going to export that one piece. And I'm going to show you how that looks, just to make double sure. So it becomes where you're exporting out the pieces at the size that you need them to be. So here it is, all exported, and that's exactly what I wanted. So that's what I'll lay in as my header. So once you choose the site structure you want out of Squarespace, then you start to customize what pieces you want to bring in that you've created so far, and that's how you're going to easily build the site. And sometimes you have to cheat a little bit and actually come up with color fills instead of using actual color boxes. And how you integrate that, you have to think about the problem solving aspect of what's going to work. And as the more you do it, the easier that part of it's going to come. But there's all kinds of tutorials and user-friendly information on Squarespace itself, which is also probably one of the reasons why I picked it up so fast, is that there's so much good information out there. So that's it for me. I think that that's enough information for this presentation, and I thank you for letting me get through all of that. So I know that was a lot of information, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can text me at 843-267-2110, or you can email me at colleen.belzadi@hgtc.edu. Thanks, and have a great week.